Welcome back. This lesson we're going to practice solving absolute value inequality. Let's review absolute value equation. We have x stays in the absolute value equals 6. So x can be a positive 6 or x can be a negative 6. If we graph it, we say 6, you're here, negative 6, you're here, and I want to put closed circle here, closed circle here, says that is the value. We found it, that is solution. So finish solving, finish graphing. Now, we come back here. When we look at this absolute value inequality, we also need to write down a positive 6 and a negative 6. You see, positive 6 compared with negative 6, positive 6 is a greater value. And negative 6 is a lesser value. So I'm going to say x, you can come out now. You're going to be greater or equals greater 1, or x less than or equals lesser 1. All done here, but not quite, because we're going to graph it. I'm going to erase this equation, use the same graph here. You see here, x is all the real numbers, but x must be greater or equals positive 6. So you're going to have your arrow go to your right side. Okay? And come back here. X is all the real numbers, but x must be less than or equals negative 6. You let your arrow go to your left. That is how we solve a basic inequality, absolute value inequality, and how to graph it. I'm going to leave one question here for you to do. How about x is, let's say, greater than, let's do 2. Okay, go ahead and solve this. I'm going to erase this portion. Then when you come back, we can take a look at what's happening. All right, welcome back. When you solve this absolute value inequality, the first step, did you write down a greater value? That is 2. Did you write down a lesser value? That is negative 2. All right, very good. And then we're going to say our little interesting saying. We're going to say, x, you can come out. You're going to be greater than the greater one or less than the lesser one, all done. To make things complete, we're going to graph it. 2, you're here. Negative 2, you're here. All right, I'm going to graph this part. This time we're going to do open circle because 2 is not being included, which means 2 does not work. It has to be a value greater than 2. If you're not included, this is going to be an open circle. Then you draw to the right side, okay? You don't have to write this word right. Just to remind you, your arrow need to go to the right side. All right, let's look at this one. I'm going to graph this one. Open circle, go to the left side. Now, completed. Okay. Let's get a different question. We're going to make this question a little bit longer. You already know how to solve just x stay in the absolute value. What if I add another quantity here? I'm going to add a negative 5. I'm going to say x minus 5 stays in the absolute value greater or equals 7. All right. Step 1, I think you know the drill. We're going to write down 7 and negative 7. Now we're going to release this 2. Ask them to come out of the absolute value. Okay, you two are going to come out of absolute value, okay? You're going to be greater or equals the greater one, less than or equals the lesser one. We're not quite done yet. We're going to isolate this x, okay? Isolate x by add 5 each side. X is greater or equals 12. Or we're going to solve this one. We also need isolate x, add 5, add 5. And x is less than or equals -2. If you want to try your graphing, go ahead. Make sure you're going to use a closed circle because this symbol has a bar underneath. This bar tells you equals. Equals means this value is being included there. All right, let's try one more. Try one more question that does not have the bar underneath, just greater than, okay? All right. X plus 3 stays in the absolute value greater than 8. You know this time we're going to use open circle. And we're going to write down the greater value and the lesser value. And we're going to release these guys. We're going to say x plus 3, come out. X plus 3, come out. All right? Greater than the greater one, less than the lesser one. Okay, let's isolate x by -3 each side. X is greater than 5. Or, I'm going to solve this one. -3 each side. Cancel it out. X is less than -11. Here is our solution. If you want to graph it, make sure you're using right here, open circle. Okay, that is all for today's lesson, how to solve absolute value inequality. Happy learning.